Well, then, a question at the door of consciousness. If God is the only source, where then does supply live? Not where do we buy it, borrow it, bargain for it, or barter our soul to get it. Not what human agencies can deliver it. Where does it live? If there is one God, if I and my Father are one, how can the offspring of that one lack anything of its own source? Where would such lack locate itself? In God? No. In the child of God? No. No. Then where? We have been trained to look out and run after shadows, the job, the client, the donor, the sale, the market, turn as if effects were causes and causes were somewhere lost in fog. And we say, I am tired. I am managing scarcity. I am counting, hoarding, fretting, and I am burning out. Listen gently. You are not fatigued by the work of spirit. You are fatigued by chasing effects. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. The Christ did not send us into a marketplace of fear. He sent us into a kingdom of cause. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. If the shepherd is the cause, I am not a beggar at the fence of effects. If God is the only source, supply does not live out there. It is I am here, not a boast, an identity. I am not in the physical. You cannot localize the I of you in chest or hand or ledger, absent from the body, present with the Lord. When I rest in that, sufficiency is not something I bring into me. It is the nature of the presence that I become consciously aware of. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea, including the idea called supply. When I am knowingly one with cause, cause appears as form. Cause fulfills itself as effect. Do you see the reversal? We run after forms because we have forgotten the formless. We hunger because we have been feeding on husks. Where does supply live? It lives where God lives, in the invisible, indivisible presence that announces itself when the noise subsides. It speaks without sound. It moves without push. It is not something to use. It is that which uses us. God is the actor. I am merely the instrument. In the same way that 2 times 2 is 4. Whether or not anyone approves, the law of one cause operates, whether or not our emotions are calm. Violate the law with another God, fear, mammon, personality, and you feel scarcity. Answer, not as a punishment, but as the consequence of misidentification. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, not one, not even your idea of prosperity. Now, some of you ask, how do I get from this fever of chasing to that quiet of realization? Not by a trick, not by an affirmation used to fish for more effects, but by a password that brings the mind to the door of cause and bids it be still. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, not my planning, not my pleading, not my human wit. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let it be spoken slowly until the tongue grows transparent and the thought grows quiet. Thy grace, what is that? The very activity of God. Is my sufficiency present, complete, not tomorrow? In all things, no department of life excluded. This is not a tool to leverage God for more coins. I would be untrue to you if I allowed such misuse. It is a turning word, a holy reorientation from effect to cause. Whisper it to yourself as you close the account books, as you look at a bill, as you feel the old ache of not enough try to rise. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And then wait, not for thunder, for the click. That imperceptible, blessed click when awareness releases its grasp on forms and stands, empty-handed, present with the Lord. Do you feel the difference already? Scarcity management is a noise. Inner sufficiency is a presence. One heats the forehead and tightens the hand. The other cools the brow and loosens the grip. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you, not into a closet of effects, but into the chamber of cause. This is our journey together, from chasing shadows to abiding in light, from bargaining with outcomes to realizing source, from clamor to the click of union. And we begin at the door, asking, where does supply live? Herein I am. And here we stand until the presence itself answers, I am all and I am enough. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Now, before we rush further, let us ask the first and last question of spiritual life. When I say I, where are you going to put that? In the head? No. In the chest? No. In a pulse or a breath or the weight on a scale? Not a bit. No surgeon has ever yet found any me inside of a body. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. If I am present with the Lord, I am not parceled out in flesh. I am not trapped in a rib cage or behind the eyes. Then where am I? I repeat it until the mind loosens its grip. I am not in the physical. I am not in the physical. The body is an instrument. It is not an address. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. When you try to localize the I, it escapes the pointer. Point to the skull and ask, am I here? No. To the hand, am I here? No. To the heart, am I here? No. The I that says I is not contained. It contains. In him we live and move and have our being. If the I lives in God, where is lack to be found? In God? No. In the child of God? Not when the child knows the parent. The difficulty is not in God and not in the world. It is in the habit of mislocalizing identity, trying to fit infinity inside of a 3-pound brain, and then wondering why life pinches. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that you are not confined. Take the next step with me quietly. If you are not in a body, your life is not in a paycheck. If you are not in the skull, your wisdom is not in a diploma. If you are not in the chest, your love is not in another's approval. If you are not in the physical, your supply is not in a bank, a job title, or a client list. Those are forms honorable when they appear, harmless when they do not, but never cause. Cause is the I that is one with the Father. I and my Father are one. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. With what? All spiritual being and idea, life, love, law, activity, joy, right place, right transportation, right companionship, right provision. When cause is realized, cause fulfills itself as effect. When you stand as I, not as body, the forms assigned to that I begin to report for duty without chase. You have noticed how the world trains you. Inventory first, identity later. Count first, then decide who you are based on what you counted. That is bondage. In spirit, it is identity first, inventory later, presence before provision. The life is more than meat, and the body is more than raiment. When I know that I am life expressed, not life contained, I stop trying to cram God into my budget, and I let God reveal the forms of sufficiency appropriate to today. It is not passivity, it is priority. Establish the I, and the ledger pages will turn themselves in order. Do not mistake this for a denial of the world. It is a denial of a lie about the world. The lie says effects are sources. The lie says your good is over there, owned by that company, controlled by that person. No, no. Your good is where your eye is, and your eye is in God. Therefore, your good is omnipresent as idea awaiting recognition. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, not to sell it to you, to give it. But you cannot spend what you refuse to acknowledge. Acknowledge the giver in the very seat of your awareness, and the given will appear as form. How do you begin? You begin by correcting the first error each time it arises. When the thought whispers, my supply is in that client, smile and say, no, my supply is in God appearing as right client. When the thought shouts, my security is in that number, answer gently, my security is in God revealing himself as right number. Identity before inventory, presence before provision. If you must speak a word to steady the heart, let it be a holy reminder, not a lever. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, not here to get something, but to remember I am not in the physical. I am present with the Lord. And in that remembrance, a softness enters, often without fanfare. There is the click, the quiet recognition that cause is here, I is here, God is here. In that click, forms begin to line up like iron to a magnet. No push, no pull, just order. I am not in the physical. Hold it long enough to feel the body recede from center stage and take its proper place as a tool of the I. I am not a seeker chasing supply. I am the transparency through which supply knows itself as form. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. From that foundation, we do not get. We are, and being reveals, having as a byproduct. And the heart grows quiet, and the hand unclenches, and sufficiency already present comes into view. Now let us speak plainly of the law that stands behind all sufficiency. Not my law, not your tradition, but the law that was before Abraham, the law that cannot be flattered or bribed. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, and with it, inseparable as breath to life. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. These are not church rules. They are cosmic law. As exact as 2 times 2 is 4, as certain as gravity, as impersonal as a traffic signal at midnight. You may dislike a red light when you are late, but if you rush it, the consequence is not a punishment from the city. It is the fruit of disobedience to a principle that protects life. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. When we sow attention in other gods, fear, mammon, personality, technique, scarcity answers as the natural harvest of divided allegiance. Do not toy with this. Do not tamper with cosmic law. It is a double-edged sword. Used for selfish grasping, it injures the user. Aligned in love, it guards and guides. You can take the words, thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, and make of them a lever to pry open more coins. And you will find the lever snaps in your hand. Why? Because grace is not an instrument for human will. Grace is the will of God revealing itself. The law cannot be bent to appetite. There can be no selfish purpose in a cosmic law. You violate 2 times 2 is 4. And you have not offended arithmetic. You have offended your project, your bridge, your business, your body. You misread a traffic sign and you have not angered the road, you have endangered your neighbor. So with this, set up another God, and you do not anger God. You blind yourself to God's appearing as sufficiency. What are these other gods? They are obvious and they are subtle. Money is an easy idol. Status wears a handsome robe. Followers, subscribers, the number on the screen, these demand Boeing and promise security if you will only count them morning and night. Even spiritual techniques can be idols. A mantra pounded to force an outcome. A meditation performed to manipulate a person or a market. No, no. I hope you will never attempt to use spirit that way. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. The moment I try to be the actor, I have stepped out of law into personal will, and personal will is scarcity dressed in ambition. Here again, the first commandment as the architecture of sufficiency. One God, no other. One cause, infinite form. When I rest in that oneness, I and my Father are one. I am not seeking effects. I am witnessing cause fulfill itself as effect. That is why love is coupled with oneness as law. Love thy neighbor as thyself is not a moral ornament. It is the way the channel stays clear. To fear, to resent, to envy, to take advantage. These are violations of law that kink the hose, and then we wonder why no water flows. As you sow, so shall ye reap. Sow love and you reap unobstructed grace. Sow rivalry and you reap loneliness in the midst of crowds. Sow deception and you reap distrust even of your own heart. Therefore, establish the boundary in your own practice. I refuse the temptation to make a god of means. I refuse the whisper that says, if only I had that account, that platform, that praise, I would be secure. No, my security is in God appearing as what is needful now. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Therefore, supply, right activity, right companionship, right opportunity are already included in that oneness. I do not reach out to seize. I yield to let. I do not command God. I consent that God be God where I am. And if a word is needed to recenter, let it not be a spell, but a surrender. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Then be still. Allow the law to be the law. Obedience to one. Source is the doorway. Other gods are the detours. Choose the doorway, and you will find that sufficiency is not something you haul in. It is the presence that once unopposed appears as form, apportioned by love, governed by law, and safe for you and for your neighbor. Let us be honest in the light of this law and name the chase for what it is. We run after paychecks as if a number could father our life. We angle for referrals as if a neighbor's lips could be our fountain. We refresh the screen to count likes and followers and think our value rises when digits climb. We plan launches and midnight emails and clever funnels, and we say, if this hits, I will rest. No, you will not rest. Effects cannot secure cause. A shadow cannot hold up the tree that casts it. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not chased. Added, not hoarded. Added, because cause fulfills itself as form when there are no other gods invited to the altar. Hear the loop and recognize it. We feel a tremor of fear, so we tinker with effects. More hustle, more asking, more strategies. We manage scarcity as if scarcity were a problem to be engineered. The fear quiets for an hour, then returns louder, demanding a bigger proof. We expand the chase, widen the net, and tighten the chest. Burnout is not caused by work, it is caused by working for idols. You cannot get peace from an effect any more than you can get warmth from a painting of the sun. The effect looks like supply, and sometimes it momentarily acts like it, but it cannot be source. When the bank account smiles, do you relax? Perhaps for a blink. Then the mind whispers, what if next month? You see, the idol cannot bless you. It can only bargain with you. And when it fails, you blame the effect or yourself. Neither is the cause. The disobedience is hidden deeper. Other gods. Look at it as an engineer. You cannot stack decorations where there is no foundation. You may nail cornices to the air and call it architecture, but the first wind will take your building down, and you will say, the wind is cruel. The wind is not cruel. It is honest. So is law. Or consider a forester. You cannot force rain by shaking trees. You may shake them until the branches break and call it productivity. The sky does not answer to your shaking. The sky pours when conditions are met. In the same way, you can pound on forms and pound on mantras to ring an outcome, but if the heart bows to means, the heavens remain brass to your plea. Take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink. For your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. Knoweth. Therefore you need not fret after them as thieves in the night. Chasing effects is chasing shadows. Turn to cause and the form follows. Do not try to use that sentence to get more shadows. I hope you will never attempt to use spirit that way. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. When the instrument tries to make sound without the musician, what comes but noise? Noise is what we call the anxiety of the marketplace. The quiet music is what we call sufficiency realized. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Not because I chase the sheepdogs of circumstance hard enough, but because I yield to shepherd his cause and let the day be led. Prosperity, in truth, is not accumulation. It is revealed adequacy for the function of the day. Give us this day our daily bread, not a warehouse to support our fear, a portion to support our purpose. As thy day, so thy strength shall be. If today's function is to teach, the sufficiency will appear as ideas, attention, right students, right place. If today's function is to build, the sufficiency will appear as materials, hands, timing, right opportunity. If today's function is to rest, the sufficiency will appear as quiet, release, permission. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Therefore, the idea of bread includes oven, grain, distribution, appetite, digestion, even gratitude. When I mistake the loaf for the law, I begin to hoard. When I recognize the law, the loaves multiply as needed without my strain. Do you see? Let the diagnosis be simple. If what you are doing multiplies fear, you are serving effects. Stop. Return to cause. Not with drama, with obedience. Whisper only to steady the heart, not to command outcomes, but to consent to source. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Then let the chase fall limp. You will find, often without announcement, that forms begin to arrange themselves by the order of heaven and the law of love. Not a bit of your true good is over there waiting for your sprint. It is here where I am. because I and my Father are one, and oneness never runs after what it already is. Now, let us be very simple and very exact, because the mind loves to embroider what must remain plain. When you enter this practice, you enter not to get, not to fix, not to persuade heaven, not to move a person, a purse, or a planet. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. The closet is consciousness withdrawn from objects. The door is the turning away from effects. We begin with a chair. It will be a chair low enough that both feet rest upon the floor without tension. There is no occult reason for this, only one of physical comfort. Let the back be supported, but do not lounge. Never rest your arms on armrests. Let the hands fall gently in the lap, palms neither clenched nor posed, just natural. Relax the jaw, let the tongue fall. Close the eyes, not to work magic, but to reduce stimulation. There is no power in lids. There is only kindness to a nervous system that has been overemployed in chasing. In this position, with the eyes closed, I become virtually unaware of having a body, not by hypnosis, not by denial, by turning attention from it. If there is an itch, let it be an itch. Do not enter into conversation with it. If the niece speaks, answer it with silence. Be still and know that I am God. Be still in body, yes, but more. Be still in intention. You are not here to get supply. You are not here to secure tomorrow. You are here to consent that God be God where I am, absent from the body, present with the Lord. And as the senses quiet, you will notice the body takes its proper place as an instrument, not as a headquarters. You cannot leave it because you are not in it. You are not a tenant being evicted from flesh. You are the awareness in which the body appears, and in that awareness, sufficiency lives as presence. Now let the breath come and go of its own accord. Do not count it. Do not stretch it. Do not make pranayama of it. The sea does not need your instruction to make a tide. Breathe as if you were being breathed, which you are. With every exhale, let the edges of you soften. With every inhale, let no desire ride in on it. Desireless waiting. This is the great discipline. Not asking for money, not asking for healing, not asking for opportunity, not even asking for guidance. Your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. If the Father knoweth, let the child be silent. In that silence, a subtle temptation will come to send thought to a friend, to a debtor, to a prospect. I hope you will never try to do it. I have studiously avoided mental projection. We do not send thought. We do not fix others. We never give human advice in this holy hour. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Non-interference keeps the channel pure. So we wait. It may be 30 seconds, it may be 30 minutes. Do not measure. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. And at some unplanned moment, there is a click. I have no better word for it. The inner switch that had been set to world suddenly returns to source. The movement of thought softens, and something like a hush falls without being made to fall. The sense of I collapses inward and then expands without circumference. Sometimes it feels as if light had remembered itself. Sometimes as if a burden had dropped, though you did not know you were carrying one. Sometimes nothing at all, except a deep okayness that does not depend on an explanation. That is the click, the conscious oneness. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. In that stillness, sufficiency announces itself, not as coin or client, but as presence. And presence, being cause, cannot help but reveal itself as appropriate form in due course. Do not rise quickly. Do not make a trophy of it. Remain for a breath or two in gratitude, not emotional, simply receptive. If a word wishes to whisper itself, "Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things," let it be a benediction, not a fishing line. If no word comes, all the better. We are learning to trust the law that does not need our managing. When you open the eyes, carry no plan from the silence except obedience. Attend to the next right thing, without strain, without hurry. Let phone calls be made as they are given to you to make. Let bills be paid as they are given to you to pay. Let work be done as an instrument plays when a musician lifts it. The practice is not an escape from life. It is the only way to live life in its law. Desireless receptivity opens the channel. Sufficiency, already present, flows unimpeded. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. The door is within. The opening is the click. And on the other side, there is nothing to chase, only God being God where you are. Now a tool placed gently in your hand, not a lever to pry open heaven, a password to re-enter what already is. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Hear how it moves. Not my plan, not my pressure, not my personality. Thy grace, God's own activity, is my sufficiency, present, adequacy, not imagined surplus. In all things, no corner of life orphaned. Paul heard it as, my grace is sufficient for thee. We answer in consent. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let this be the word that turns you from effects to cause. The moment you notice you are staring at shadows, use it at waking, before the feet touch the floor. Do not step into the day as a manager of scarcity. Step as a transparency of sufficiency. Whisper it inwardly, no drama, no grip. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Then be still a breath. Do you feel the grasping mind begin to melt? Let it. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Not because the calendar promises ease, but because cause is cause, whether it rains or shines. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Begin there, and the day cannot make a beggar of you. Use it before a call, a meeting, a task. Do not aim it at a person. Never attach a name, a signature, a sale, a sum to holy words. That would be to carve a new idol and ask God to bless it. No. Close the eyes for one quiet beat and let the phrase restore place and order. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour. Given, not engineered. God is the actor. I am merely the instrument. Enter the conversation as a listening flute. Let breath move. Let music play. Do not grip for outcomes. The outcome belongs to the law that governs love. Use it when envelopes open and figures glare. Before you count, remember, place the bill on the table as you would place a child into the arms of a trustworthy physician. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Give us this day our daily bread. Daily, exact, enough. Refuse to hook the phrase to an amount. Refuse to turn it into bait for a particular client or a particular timing. The moment you tether God to your blueprint, the hose kinks. The flow that is effortless becomes a drip of your own making. Release means to cause and watch peace return to the brow, even before the math arranges itself. Often, when peace returns, the math does arrange itself strangely, simply, sometimes unexpectedly. But do not make a bargain of that. Make an altar. Use it when fear walks in unannounced and sets up its shop in the chest. Do not argue with fear. Do not debate probabilities. Do not pile up new strategies on a shaky foundation. Turn quickly and tenderly. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Say it once as a statement. Say it again as a surrender. Say it again more slowly until the words thin to silence. And in that silence, wait for the click. Perfect love casteth out fear. Not your bravery, love itself, recognized, present, sufficient. When the click comes or when it does not seem to come, obey the peace you have and take the next right step. As thy day, so shall thy strength be. Let the cadence of the phrase train your senses. Speak it, then pause. Do not beat the mind with it. Do not turn it into a drum. Let it be a key that opens into hush. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Then listen for the space that follows. The peace that passeth understanding is not an emotion. It is an atmosphere. In that atmosphere, you will notice the hand unclench and the eye grow gentle. From that gentleness, right action arises of itself. Guard the practice. Never use the mantra to reach into another's life. I hope you will never try to do it. We do not project thought. We do not name a person and pull upon him with prayer. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Includes the God of personal control, disguised as spirituality. If a face comes to mind, bless and release. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Free, not managed. Keep the channel clear of manipulation and the law will do what the law does. Reveal sufficiency as appropriate form. You will find, as this word becomes your reflex, that you turn to source without ceremony. Standing at the sink, walking into a room, looking at a calendar, the heart remembers, thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And in that remembrance, identity stands corrected. I am not in the physical. I am present with the Lord. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. From that oneness, cause fulfills itself without your push, without your panic, without your bargaining. The phrase has done its holy work. It has returned attention to the inner source where sufficiency lives and left you an instrument through which God may be God where you are. Let me be very sober in this telling. I do not trade in marvels, and I hope you will never seek them. I do not set out to collect stories. Yet when cause is realized, form bears witness, and letters have come across oceans and alleys to say so. A woman wrote from a little bookkeeping desk over a bakery. She did not have the word campaign in her vocabulary. She had a rent due on Tuesday and a ledger that looked like winter. She sat down not to summon a payer, not to visualize a check. She sat down to consent. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Desireless, quiet. She waited until the click came, and then she washed the dishes and closed the books for the day. Tuesday morning, a man who had forgotten an invoice for 9 months walked in with payment and a steady contract besides. She had not chased him. She had not hinted. Before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear. She had not used God. She had consented to God, and cause fulfilled itself as form. Another time, a letter reached me from a family whose little boy lay in fever across a continent. Do you see the temptation? to send thought, to push prayer, to will a temperature down. I hope you will never try to do it. I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts. I never give human advice. I went to my chair. I closed the eyes, absent from the body, present with the Lord. I waited not for a sign in the child, not for a number on a thermometer, but for the inner consent that God be God where I am. After some minutes, the click, a hush, and with it a certainty that needed no reason, I rose and went about my day. Days later, the letter came. At the hour you named, the fever broke and the boy slept. I had not named an hour to them, but heaven has a habit of keeping time. He sent his word and healed them. Not my word, not my will. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. From a shop foreman who had not spoken to his partner in 6 months, a note arrived. He had prepared arguments, ultimatums, legal courses. He threw them down and sat. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. He told me he wept once, not from fear, from release. The click came, and with it a pictureless forgiveness, not aimed at a man, simply the law of love unkinking a hose. That afternoon, without a scheduled meeting, the partner walked into the shop with an apology, and a better division of labor presented itself as if it had been waiting in the rafters. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. Did he make peace? No. He yielded, and peace appeared as men at peace. A craftsman wrote that orders had stopped to a trickle. He began reaching out with desperate notes and came away drenched in humiliation. He stopped. He did what we do. Chair. Breath. No ask. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Click. The next morning, an email arrived from a client met 2 years earlier with no result then. A chain of referrals unfolded from that single note for 3 months. Notice the sequence. Receptivity, the click, and then spontaneous, right form client calls. Reconciliations, timely ideas. No sorcery, no bargain. The law is as impersonal as mathematics. 2 times 2 is 4, whether you whisper it or shout it. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Understand me. I do not ascribe cause to the letter, to the boy, to the partner, to the client. They do not prove anything to God. They reveal what obedience to one source makes inevitable. It is the same law that lets a bridge stand when its math is honored and brings it down when vanity tampers. The testimonies are not advertisements. They are footprints in the sand behind a pilgrim who stopped chasing shadows and let the sun be sun. In realized oneness, provision appears as form without chase, because cause fulfills itself. The shepherd shepherds. And we find, often to our surprise, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. So we keep to our simple work. Be still, yield, wait for the click, and move in the peace that follows. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And the forms appear as they must, and love suffers no one by their appearance. Now let us come to the ethics of enough, because law without love becomes a rod, and love without law becomes a fog. What is the hallmark of sufficiency realized? It is this: when I want nothing you have, and you want nothing I have, there can be no conflict, no bargaining spirit, no concealed appetite, no secret tax upon our neighbor. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, not sentiment, law. In my conscious oneness with God, I am one with all spiritual being and idea. Therefore, I cannot take from you. I can only share within one life. When love removes the hook, fear finds nothing to catch. When I cease angling for your purse, your praise, your attention, and you cease angling for mine, we meet as instruments, not competitors, and the music of commerce is harmony. But the hook often hides in the heart as resentment and self-condemnation. These are the barbs that snag supply, not because God withholds, but because a kinked hose will not let water through. Practice forgiveness quietly, practically. I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. 70 times 7 toward your neighbor who failed you. Yes, and 70 times 7 toward yourself for the folly you replay at night. Forgiveness is not endorsing wrong. It is releasing the claim of a private court. It is obeying law. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. As do you hear the hinge? When the as becomes practice, the channel opens, hooks loosen, peace returns. Grace finds its natural passage into form. And in our giving, let there be obedience, not bargaining. Offer where inner peace directs, and keep it quiet. When thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. Do not give to make God see you. God is the seeing. Do not give to get a bigger harvest. That is planting counterfeit seed. Give because you have recognized that what flows through you is not yours to damn. If a need presents itself and peace says yes, answer it without trumpet, without post, without turning the gift into a fishing line. Freely ye have received, freely give. Freely is the key, no hook, no price tag, no ledger for heaven to balance. The law balances itself. In trade, let love govern contracts and prices. No sharp practices. No bait that leads to a switch. No fear selling. No sprinkling the air with panic to hasten a signature. A false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. Keep a just weight. Promise only what your work can do. Charge for what you have truly rendered, and pay the laborer his hire on time. Let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. If a clause advantages you by blinding your neighbor, strike it out. If a fee fattens fear, it is not bread, it is a stone. Love will show you a right price, a right timing, a right way to say no without harm. You need not grasp, because you are not living on the margins of a separate self. I am not in the physical, absent from the body, present with the Lord. I live in the law of sufficiency and can afford to be clean. Remember, as you sow, so shall ye reap. This is not a threat, it is a map. Sow manipulation and you reap suspicion even of your own motives. Sow scarcity talk and you reap clientele who come hungry and leave hungrier. Sow love, clarity, honesty, fairness, and you reap trust. And trust is a wider channel than any marketing technique you can purchase. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over. Not from the person you targeted, often from no traceable root. Running over because love aligns with one source and clears the way for lawful flow. Therefore, make a simple rule. Before a price is named, a contract drafted, a pitch delivered, a correction spoken pause, chair or no chair, close the inner door a moment. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Say it not to cast a spell on your customer. Say it to unhook your heart. Then listen. If there is any grit of fear, wait until love rinses it out. When the click comes, Speak from there. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. In that obedience, enough ceases to be a number to chase and becomes an atmosphere you carry. The ethic is the channel. The love is the pressure. The law is the flow. And you will find your dealings quietly prospering, your nights untroubled, and your neighbor blessed to meet you, because you have removed the hook and left only grace. Do not leave your post. Transfigure it. Do not throw away your tools. Cleanse the hand that holds them. When you walk into the shop, the office, the classroom, the kitchen, do not enter as an anxious owner defending a small kingdom. Enter as an instrument ready for use. I am not in the physical, absent from the body, present with the Lord. I show up to let God be God where I am. Work is not a proving ground for a frightened self. Work is a field in which cause reveals itself as order, timing, sufficiency. Money is not a god to curry. It is a witness that a function was rightly fulfilled. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Serve God and let mammon take its lawful, modest seat as a receipt, not a ruler. Make this your unfailing sequence before meetings, invoices, launches, interviews, plans. Stop. Chair or no chair, close the inner door. Be still and know that I am God. Do not bring a shopping list to this stillness. Bring consent. I and my Father are one. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Whisper only enough to steady the heart. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Wait not to capture a strategy, but to receive the click, the quiet shift from world to source. Then enter the appointment, draft the note, build the page. If the click has not come, proceed with gentleness and restraint, or wait a few minutes more. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Results are not your business. Fidelity is. Let the day's function determine the day's effort. Give us this day our daily bread, not tomorrow's bread extracted in panic. This day's adequacy, expressed as the right call, the clean line of code, the true sentence, the honest estimate, give the quality that peace assigns. Pressure breeds error. Obedience breeds sufficiency. You are not paid for hurry. You are paid for right function fulfilled with integrity. If you cannot do a thing cleanly, do not do it at all. Ask for time. Reduce the scope, or bless it and release it. Take no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Thought for tomorrow appears as wisdom today when cause is acknowledged. Refuse shortcuts, especially the invisible ones. No mental influence to get clients. No projecting thought into a prospect's mind. I hope you will never try to do it. I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts. I never give human advice, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The moment you use will to bend another, you have placed a lever against the law of love, and it will spring back upon the user. Even if a sale appears, the hook remains in your own heart, and fear will tug at it all night. Our commerce must be clean to be safe. Keep the analogies plain. It is with integrity as it is with traffic law. You may run the light once and think you saved a minute, but the principle you violated keeps its own books and interest accrues. It is with truth as it is with mathematics. 2 times 2 is 4. You may inscribe 5 upon the ledger, but the sum will not stand. The bridge built on such figures will betray you at the first stress, and you will blame the wind. A false balance is abomination to the Lord. but a just weight is his delight. Keep a just weight. Promise what you can fulfill. Fulfill what you promise. Correct what you cannot fulfill before it turns sour. As you sow, so shall you reap. When you issue an invoice, let it be an act of clarity, not a tug of fear. When you price a work, ask within for the just weight, not the thrill of conquest. When you launch a thing, bless it, release it, and return to the present function. Do not refresh the page as if it were a god with moods to appease. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you, added by law, not by frenzy. Reframe money. Let it be a servant that comes and goes, not a master that commands your sleep. Let it witness sufficiency. Never let it define identity. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Therefore, the forms that belong to today's function cannot fail to appear in right measure at right time. Attend to your post with a quiet heart. Keep clean books. Keep kind speech. Keep fair terms. Keep to the pause that restores oneness. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. When the click comes, go about your work. When results come, give thanks without pride. When delays come, wait without panic. The shepherd goes before. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And in that following, commerce becomes ministry and money becomes message. Enough. Let us make it plain and livable, because truth that does not enter the hours remains an ornament. A rule of life is not a chain. It is a rhythm that keeps the instrument in tune. Morning. Before the feet touch the floor, turn within. Do not open to the world. Open to the word. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet. Close the inner door and be still. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not to enlist God in your plan, but to re-enter. Cause. 2 minutes, 5, 10, no magic in a number. Sit quietly, without want, until the thought stream softens and perhaps the click comes. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. Begin the day as instrument, not as owner. I am not in the physical. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. From that oneness, I step into my tasks. Midday, a micro pause becomes the hinge of obedience. Before you answer the message, price the work, correct the child, sign the paper, stop. 1 breath out, 1 breath in. Shut the inner door on effects. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Wait for even a thread of quiet. If the click comes, proceed in its peace. If it does not, speak gently or wait a moment more. Be still and know that I am God. This half-minute will save you hours of repair because it turns you from chasing shadows to consenting to cause. Evening. Light returns to its source. Sit again, not to tally wins and losses, but to rinse the day. Lay down each face, each figure, each success, each disappointment, as you would lay down garments at the door. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. If any day resentment clings, forgive 70 times 7, including yourself. Release every human claim and every self-judgment. Then the whisper, thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let it thin to silence. Sleep as one kept, not as a sentinel of possessions. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep. For thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. Crisis has its own protocol, and it is simpler still. Stop, do not act inside the world. Do not send the email. Do not spend the money. Do not make the call. Sit or stand where you are and breathe once, twice, slowly, as if you had time, because in God you do. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Say it as a statement. Say it as surrender. Close the inner door to persons, places, things. Wait for the click, or wait for enough quiet that panic loosens its grip. Then take the next right step only. Not 5 steps. 1. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Returning is the salvation, not the stratagem. Once a week, give God an unhurried hour. Guard it as you would oxygen. No reading, no asking, no planning, chair, comfort, eyes closed. Desireless receptivity. I and my Father are one. Wait 30 minutes, 60, until the sense of being the doer dissolves and instrumentality is renewed. This is Sabbath in essence, not on a calendar. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Let that hour reseat you in the law where God is the actor and the doer and the beer. You are merely the instrument. From such renewal, the week's forms will arise in surprising order, and you will not need to wring them from the world. Now let the heart memorize a litany that anchors identity and ends the chase. In my oneness with God, I find completeness. I lack nothing and no one to be whole. In my oneness with God, I find security. No wall can give it. No loss can take it. In my oneness with God, I find peace. Not the world's pause between battles, but the stillness that outlives weather. In my oneness with God, I find joy. Not entertainment, but the song of life recognizing itself. In my oneness with God, I find fulfillment. Function done as instrument. Cause revealing itself as right form at right time. Repeat it softly. Let it become the climate of your day. This is not scarcity management. This is inner sufficiency, realized and lived. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you by law, not by frenzy. A steady return to I am presence ends the chase because there is nothing to chase in the all. I am that I am. So we live the simple cadence, morning consent, midday micropause, evening release, weekly deepening, crisis return, until it is not a practice but a posture. And we close where all real work begins, in gratitude. God is the actor. I rest as instrument. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And so it is. And I thank you.